the quaint setting of Missouri, Meredith Quill enjoys her car ride accompanied by her boyfriend, whom she affectionately refers to as her spaceman. The duo shares a special moment behind a Dairy Queen, venturing into the woods together. It is there that Meredith's companion reveals a small extraterrestrial seedling, explaining its potential to proliferate across the cosmos. Their encounter culminates in a heartfelt kiss. 34 years later, the Guardians of the Galaxy, comprised of Peter Quill, Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, Rocket Raccoon, a baby Groot, find themselves assembled on a platform, tasked with securing Analyx batteries from their latest employers, the Sovereigns. The Guardians stand prepared, brandishing their weapons. Their immediate objective lies in facing off against the Obelisk, an interdimensional creature. As the Obelisk descends, the Guardians leap into action, except for Groot, who becomes engrossed in the musical serenade of Mr. Blue Sky, playing from a speaker set up by Rocket. Amidst the group's attempt to vanish the Obelisk, Drax inadvertently tumbles into the speaker, much to Groot's chagrin. Realizing that they cannot harm the Obelisk externally, Drax devises a daring plan to slay the creature from within. Meanwhile, Star-Lord discerns a vulnerability on the monster's neck and directs Rocket to divert its attention. Gamora seizes the opportunity to strike, delivering a fatal blow that causes the Obelisk to collapse, liberating Drax from its confines. Returning to the Sovereigns with the recovered batteries, the Guardians encounter the High Priest, who oversees the exchange. As part of the deal, the Sovereigns hand over Nebula, Gamora's sister, to the Guardians, who must transfer her to Xandar and claim the associated bounty. Before departing, Aisha condenses to the Guardians, particularly targeting Peter due to his unique heritage as a half-human, half-alien, which she views as recklessness. The Guardians depart with Rocket seizing an opportunity to pilfer some of the batteries for himself. En route to Xandar, the Guardians are suddenly besieged by a fleet of Sovereign drones seeking retribution for the stolen batteries. Suspecting Rocket's involvement, the team becomes enraged. In the midst of the onslaught, Rocket steers the Milano towards a wormhole leading to another planet. Just as the Sovereign drones close in, an unknown spacecraft emerges, disseminating the attackers. A mysterious man stands atop his ship, offering a wave of acknowledgement to the Guardians. Evading the drones, the Guardians are forced into an emergency crash landing on a nearby planet. After the Guardians surveyed the wreckage of their ship, they witnessed the descending arrival of the mysterious vessel that saved them. Stepping out of this ship is none other than Ego, who unveils himself as Peter's father. Accompanying Ego is his empathetic assistant, Mantis. Meanwhile, on a distant planet, Yondu and his team of Ravengers find themselves facing challenging times. Yondu takes refuge in a nearby hotel where he unexpectedly encounters his former comrade, Starkerd Ogord. Having banished Yondu from the Ravager team due to accusations of child trafficking, Starkerd stands as a reminder of their fractured alliance. Among the Ravengers, Taserface voices his belief in the need for a new leadership, while Kraglin also questions Yondu's command. Following his conversation with Starkerd, Yondu is approached by the Sovereigns, and Aisha presents him with an intriguing proposition. Peter, still reeling from the revelation of his true parentage, grapples with the shock of finally meeting his father, Ego. Ego explains that he has sent Yondu to retrieve Peter after his mother's demise. Yet Peter remains puzzled as to why Ego had abandoned Meredith in the first place. Ego extends an invitation for Peter and his companions to visit his celestial planet, although Peter hesitates until Gamora convinces him to embrace the opportunity. Accompanied by Gamora and Drax, Peter joins Ego and Mantis, while Rocket and Groot remain behind to repair the Milano and keep a watchful eye on Nebula. On Ego's ship, the trio engages in conversation with Mantis, who astounds them with her mind-reading powers. In a humorous turn, Mantis inadvertently reveals Peter's romantic feelings for Gamora, much to Drax's amusement. As the Ravengers stumble upon the crash site where the Guardians had landed, they unknowingly walk into the clever trap set by Rocket. However, Yondu arrives, employing his Yaka arrow, controlled through his unique whistling techniques. The Ravagers manage to capture Rocket and Groot, but when Taserface plans to seize Peter, Yondu hesitates to hand him over. Nebula intervenes by shattering the crest on Yondu's head, rendering him unconscious. She aligns herself with the Ravagers, and together they take Rocket, Groot, and Yondu as their prisoners. Back on Ego's planet, Peter attempts to impress Gamora with his dance moves, but she remains unable to reciprocate his attraction. As Gamora departs, she spots Nebula descending in her ship and launching an attack. Nebula crash lands and engages Gamora in combat, overpowering her. In a surprising turn, Nebula reveals that her aim was never to prove superiority over Gamora, but to seek a genuine sisterly connection. Nebula's resentment towards Gamora stems from Thanos, their father, mutilating her due to Gamora's triumphs as a warrior. The sisters forge a tenuous alliance as they stumble upon a cavern teeming with skeletal remains. Meanwhile, Peter and Ego continue to bond, with Ego disclosing that as long as the planet is illuminated, Peter will retain his powers and immortality. Mantis perceives that Ego has gained a strong hold on Peter now that his true intentions have come to light. In haste, she arouses Drax from his slumber to warn him about Ego's ulterior motives. Rocket, Groot, Yondu, and Kraglin successfully reach their destination. Rocket indulges in a moment of arrogance, expressing his desire to save Peter solely to establish his superiority and lord it over him. However, Yondu silences Rocket, unveiling the fear that underlies his tough exterior. Together they embark on a mission to confront Ego. Ego reveals his grand plan to Peter, known as the Expansion. He traveled across the galaxy, planting seeds on countless worlds to extend his dominion and assimilate them into an extension of himself. Ego impregnated women from these worlds, producing numerous children who Yondu delivered to him. However, when these offspring failed to possess the celestial power Ego desired, he had killed them, as evidenced by the skeletal remains discovered by Gamora and Nebula. Peter unwittingly possesses this power that Ego seeks. Furthermore, Ego discloses that he caused the tumor that claimed Meredith's life, sparing himself the anguish of their separation. Consumed by fury, Peter breaks free from Ego's influence and unleashes his wrath upon him. In response, Ego seizes control over Peter, compelling him to assist in spreading the seedlings across planets, resulting in widespread destruction. To compound the devastation, Ego crushes Peter's Walkman and the cherished Awesome Mix Volume 2, a precious memento left by his mother. Rocket, Groot, and Yondu rendezvous with Gamora, Drax, Nebula, and Mantis, forming a united front against Ego. However, their plans are thwarted when a vengeful fleet of Sovereigns also targets them. Peter engages in a fierce battle against Ego's human form, while his celestial planet self fights back. Mantis successfully puts Ego to sleep, allowing the Guardians to tackle their adversaries. They engage in a spectacular showdown, obliterating the entire Sovereign fleet with an onslaught of lasers. Simultaneously, Rocket constructs a bomb using the stolen batteries, which Groot seizes and runs off with, despite Rocket's warning about the dire consequences of pressing the wrong button. A fireball knocks out Mantis, releasing Ego from her influence and reawakening his destructive power. As the rest of the team seeks safety, Ego begins engulfing them. Peter continues his celestial-powered fight against his father. Seizing an opportunity, Groot discovers Ego's brain within the planet's core and sets the bomb's timer for 5 minutes. Drax carries an unconscious Mantis to the ship while Gamora and Nebula successfully return. Rocket selflessly gives his last spacesuit to Yondu, knowing he cannot save both him and Peter. Despite Gamora's attempt to go back, Rocket persuades her, determined not to lose another friend. Ego desperately implores Peter to stop the bomb, arguing that it will render him merely a normal human. However, Peter embraces his humanity and allows the bomb to detonate. Ego's human form disintegrates as the planet erupts in a cataclysmic explosion. Yondu rescues Peter by donning the spacesuit as they soar away from the planet. Yondu reveals a heartfelt truth. While Ego may have been Peter's father, he was never his true father figure. Tragically, Yondu succumbs to the freezing void of space and Peter mourns his loss. The Guardians prepare to give Yondu a solemn Ravager funeral. Kraglin presents Peter with a Zune as a replacement for his lost Walkman, a gift Yondu had intended to give him. In return, Peter entrusts Kraglin with Yondu's arrow, believing it to be a fitting memento. Nebula departs, driven to seek vengeance against Thanos, but not before reconciling with Gamora. Mantis decides to stay with the Guardians. As Yondu's body floats into the vastness of space, numerous Ravager ships arrive to pay their respects. The end of this movie has 5 end credit scenes. Kraglin struggles to master Yondu's arrow and accidentally hits Drax with it. Stakar forms his own team, including Martinex, Charlie 27, Starhawk, and Mainframe, to honor Yondu's sacrifice. Aisha and her sovereign chambermaid plot their revenge to prepare to unleash their creation, Adam Warlock, from a birthing pod. Groot has grown into a sarcastic teenager, teasing Peter and indulging in video games. And as usual, Mr. Stan Lee makes an appearance, conversing with the Watchers about his past adventures, but they eventually abandon him, bored by his tales. So what do you think about this movie? I love it. Whatever your opinions on how you feel, put it in the comment section below. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you like more movie summaries such as this. Thank you again for watching About It All Clips.